Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Yashamai from the GMS Atlanta camp. Before I get into this message, I want to start off by giving all praises, all glory, and all honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakadash. And I want to send double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And a sincere shalom to all Yakim and Yaquas, brothers and sisters that are inclining ear to the 100% truth, which is what? That salvation is only for the Hebrew Israelites, which are the so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics. This is going to be a quick message, very basic message, but a very important message nonetheless. Um, Earlier in the week, the bishop here in the Atlantic camp had done a message about the importance of faith. And one thing he said was that the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, asked faith of us. And when we hear that statement, when you hear the statement of faith, you think of, some might think about Abraham. Some might think, of David. Some might, some might think Salakia, it's a little early, but some might think of Jonas, right? But the point here is that the main point of the message was that you don't always need great acts of faith. Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai asks you for faith, but faith can be very easily just sticking to the scriptures, following the dietary law. That's faith, you know. Anyways, with with that being in the back of my head, throughout these couple days, I came across Matthew 17, and we're going to start it at 14, and then we're going to go into the book of James, and then we'll get it. So this is Matthew 17 and 14. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. For oftentimes he falls into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Yahushua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. So the disciples couldn't heal him. And then Yahushua, he called his disciples a perverse generation. One might see that, right? And then it says, verse 18 says, and Yahushua rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Yahushua apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And Yahushua said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit, this kind goes not out but by prayer and fasting. So when I first read this, I don't know how long ago, but I've always been in the scriptures, right? But when I read this, and I think most people, when they read this, they'll see, okay, so the disciples didn't believe, it's Matthew 17. They really haven't spent that much time with them. But that's not the case. That's not what Yahushua was talking about. Because, see, the disciples did believe. Because when you scroll up, verse 1, they see the transfiguration of Yahushua, and they see Moses and Elijah appear and talking with them. So when Yahushua is rebuking them and telling them that they have no faith, or that they don't believe, it's not that they don't know who Yahushua is, they just saw the transfiguration. So what's Yahushua talking about? The unbelief that Yahushua was talking about was that they hadn't been praying and fasting. That was the unbelief. See, again, let, let me say that again. When Yahushua said it was because of their unbelief wasn't because they didn't believe in Yahushua. They knew who he was. Their unbelief was because though they knew who Yahushua was, they didn't have any works to their faith. Okay? And then as soon as I came across that, of course, I came into James, right? So let's start at 17. Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead being alone. Yeah, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Show me thy faith without thy works. How can one show someone their faith without their works? Show me you have faith, but you haven't been fasting. Show me you have faith, but you're not uh, 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 doing your best to observe the Sabbath. Show me you have faith, but you're not trying to the best of your abilities to adhere to the laws and the commandments of the Most High. You can't. Verse 19. Thou believest that there is one power. Thou dost well. The devils also believe and tremble. So James here, it goes back to Matthew 17. James here is saying, okay, you you believe in the name, that's good, but so do the devils, and the devils here is talking about the Edomites. Just because you know who Yahweh Shai is, and just because, heck, and just because you go to camp, just because you put your garment on, that means nothing because you have to have works with your faith. Knowing who Yahweh Shai is, believing in who he is just the beginning of it. You have to have actions behind your faith, man. And that's what the disciples didn't have at that time. They knew who Yahweh Shai was because they saw the transfiguration. But that's why Yahweh Shai also finished it up by saying this one doesn't leave except through prayer and fasting. They hadn't been fasting, and that's part of the faith. You can't but you can't say you believe and not have actions towards it. Let's continue on. Verse 20. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Man, I mean that pretty much sums it up, man. You can believe in the name, you can believe in the doctrine, you can watch 100 videos, you can go to camp, but if you don't have any works, that means absolutely nothing. James 2 and 20. I'm going to read that again. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that without that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? We can't we can't just say that we believe and then we don't have any works, man. That's pretty much it. I'm not gonna be too long-winded. I just want to circle back and say again. I'm gonna read verse 20 again. And Yahweh Shai said unto them, because of your unbelief. It wasn't because they didn't know who Yahweh Shai was, man. They saw the transfiguration. They saw him. They knew who Yahweh Shai was. And for you guys that are listening to this message, if you don't have any works and you know who Yahweh Shai is and you're listening to videos, but you don't have any works, he says it's because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith, and again, They had faith because they knew who they. It wasn't that they didn't have faith because they didn't know who he was. They knew who he was, but they didn't have faith because their faith was dead without actions. For I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. So faith needs to be accompanied by works. Howbeit, this kind goes not out by prayer and fasting, man. We need action behind our faith, and that action can be fasting, and that action is fasting, and that action is following the laws and the commandments to the best of your ability. That's the action, and without it, you can believe, but it's counted on, but it's dead. James 2:20. I hope this lesson has been edifying, and with that, I say shalom.